This YCN segment is brought to you by Bubba's Bar and Grill on Lake Sunapee in Newberry Harbor.
Welcome in, YCN Sports Talk. Jeremy Stout, Andrew Zerhide joining me this week, and we've got the Super Bowl matchup is set. And Andrew, what an exciting weekend. We'll break down, obviously, both conference championship games, but here we are again, Patriots back in the Super Bowl. It just seems like every year they look like they should be there. They have a couple tough games, and they're back here for the third straight year, and obviously their 8th straight AFC championship game, winning it for the third straight time. Not a bad game. We'll get into that, but it just seems like it's every year we're here.
Yeah, it feels good. This year was definitely harder than past seasons, but they're still 11-5, right?
Yeah.
They had a first-round bye in the playoffs, but they're putting it all together at the right time. The last two, against the Chargers and now the Chiefs, two very good teams. They've played really well offensively and defensively too, because it's really been their weakness. But yeah, they just played really well. And at times this season, it's kind of seemed like Gronk and maybe Tom and them, they weren't having a lot of fun, right? There was some talk, Belichick, maybe the culture had changed, but they all love to win. And after they beat the Chargers, they're all coming together.
Right.
Big win on the road, playoff win to make it to the Super Bowl. Huge victory. The team, it really feels like old times.
Yes.
The last kind of drives with Tom Brady in that fourth quarter and overtime on those big third down conversions, just firing it down the middle to Edelman and Gronk. It felt like old times when whenever Tom has the ball late in the game, they're scoring and nothing is going to stop them. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about this game. We'll break it down. First half was much different than the second half. Before we got on the air today, we were talking the Chiefs only 32 yards in the first half.
Yeah.
That difference could have been a lot worse if the Patriots had scored a touchdown instead of Brady throwing an interception.
Right.
But it helped them because it kind of reminded me of the Super Bowl against the Falcons, where the Falcons' defense was on the field for so long. Then at the end of the game, they got so tired. And that's what it seemed like, because the time of possession in the first half was easily 2-1, maybe even more in favor of the Patriots.
Right.
But once again, they come out with that magic and come alive in that fourth quarter when we thought, maybe they'll be able to sneak it out, but maybe Mahomes will come back. They just didn't quit. They scored on their last four possessions or something.
Right, yeah. Really, Mahomes, what were they down? They were down 14-0 at halftime, and he led that team back. He played really well. I think in that first half, you saw some jitters, right? A rookie quarterback. I think one of those, maybe it was their second drive, they were in field goal range, and he took a sack to knock them out of field goal range, and they had to punt, so that's leaving points out there. So a little jitters, but then in the second half, he made adjustments. He came out and he looked really good. Late in the game, he was clutch. He led them to the touchdown, put them ahead multiple times, and then when they were down with 30-something seconds left, he led them down the field and tied the game with a field goal. As a rookie quarterback, he's probably going to be the MVP as well.
Right.
He played really well. A little bit of jitters, but for the most part, he looked really good. And the Patriots, while they won this game, they got a little lucky, too.
Yeah, they did.
Right?
Yeah.
There were that interception, with the guy lining up off sides. There was the roughing the passer call on Tom Brady that was not roughing the passer. They got a little lucky, but, when they had to get it done, they got it done.
Right.
I think, you have to be a little lucky sometimes if you're going to win a championship, and it was on their side.
Right, and that's the point. And not to take anything away, because you're right. They got lucky, but you can always find when the team wins, there's always those situations where you get that lucky break. Yeah. And in the NFC game, which we'll talk about, there was obviously a few more lucky breaks for the Rams. But the Patriots, they got to take advantage of those lucky breaks.
Yeah.
So they get the opening, the coin toss in overtime, and everyone says that's luck, which it purely is. There's no denying that's a 50-50 shot.
Yep.
But then Brady converts on 3rd and 10 to Gronk. Edelman, that game, the go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter with the one to Gronk where he just jumps over the guy's shoulders. Eric Berry's playing defense, and he just kind of jumps over him. That's old school Gronk. Just bigger and stronger than you. He's going to get the football. So they made the plays when they needed to. Another thing we haven't talked about much, their offensive line.
Oh, yeah.
Big weakness throughout the year. Didn't know what to expect. They haven't given up a sack these playoffs.
Right.
Everything's coming together, and that's what you have to get to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the Patriots, we've seen in past years, for them to win games, you've got to protect Tom Brady, and the defense has to just be solid enough, right? Those are the two things, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Not sacked at all last game. At the end of that game, I had to think to myself, Tom, he was maybe rushed a couple of times, but for the most part, he really wasn't pressured. The sack just wasn't there. In the Super Bowl, with a couple of guys, Aaron Donald, I know we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but that could be a different story with Sue, but hopefully this offensive line can keep playing well because they are outstanding right now.
Right now everyone's playing well. The offensive line, Gronk's making the plays.
Yeah, blocking, yes.
Big blocks. Rex Burkhead came on big in that second half.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It takes a team effort, obviously, as we see, to get to the Super Bowl, and they'll face another very good team in the Los Angeles Rams. They've got, of course, a great quarterback in Goff. Todd Gurley, we'll talk about him, plus the defensive players that you mentioned. So we'll take a break, come back, we'll talk some NFC Championship game in overtime, another thriller when the Rams defeat the Saints. We'll take a break. You're watching YCN Sports Talk.